Hello, BookTube. Bookshelf tour number 4, I believe. Gloomy, wet autumn day here in Vermont, but that's just the way it goes. I get to do some running around today. It's my day off. Kids are in school. My wife's at work, so maybe I'll go book hunting or something. Maybe we'll have something to show later on in the day. But I thought I'd continue on with this bookshelf tour. Bunch of us older gentlemen, Todd's Bursting Bookcase, Jason Harrigan, and Steve Donahue. We're all 4 of us doing this shelf tour type of thing at the same time, so maybe a bit of overkill. I'm enjoying watching theirs, and yeah, it's great fun. So I'll continue on. At first I thought about breaking this up with different subjects so I wouldn't lose everybody with a big long run of something that they just weren't interested in. So if you're not interested in poetry and language, probably the next couple of these you can skip, and then we'll get into literature. But I'm thinking I'm going to keep going in order, or what my idea of order is, just because that way I won't miss anything. So we're still on this shelf in the living room. There's many, many of those, so it'll take us a while to get to these. But just let's jump right into it and see what happens here. So the first thing I'm going to do here is one of these great books. I have a lot of these scattered around. I didn't keep them in a set. I'm not interested in all of them. So if it's a volume I need, I leave it in its appropriate spot, a lot of times hoping someday I'll replace the edition. I used to have a big giant black bound Milton volume that was everything Milton, but I no longer have that. So this is let's see, English Minor Poems, Paradise Lost, Samson Agonistes, and Areopagitica. So if you can pronounce that last one better than I can. I have read Paradise Lost. The Areopagitica we had to read in college, I believe. So yeah, something I read a little bit of Paradise Regained, didn't really like it. Paradise Lost I liked. I probably at the point where this may need a reread. This is sort of a transverse book because I need to adjust my shelves again. This little volume here, the Book of Cupid. I hope you see that little. This is an odd volume. As far as I can tell, it's probably published about the first decade of the 20th century. It's got one of these onion skins on it. I mainly keep it for the artwork. It's hard to open. It's a book. It's an anthology of English poems with 23 illustrations by Lady Hilton, Hylton, and an introduction by Henry Newbolt, New York, Frederick A. Stokes Company, publishers. I did not see a date, but as well as I can figure out, it is. It seems like the first decade of the 20th century. So I'm going to show you an illustration that has facing page a John Lyly poem from 1553 to 1606. Like I say, I have it for the illustrations, basically. Here's another one. Just one of those interesting books. So then I get down here, and this is going to be a bit of a mismatch of poetry. We have William Blake, The Complete Poems, in one of these Penguin Classic editions. I would like to find a volume of his poems with some illustrations. So nice cover though. Let's see if we can. Let me move these out of the way. Then we have Robert Browning, one of these slipcase editions. Nice tall book, easy to handle. It's got the Heritage Press paper on the inside. The poems of Robert Browning, selected, edited, and introduced by C. Day Lewis. Illustrated with wood engravings by Peter Reddick, Heritage Press, New York, 1971. I used to see the Heritage Press books around all over the place. And when I was younger, you can get them for a song because so many people had them for their home libraries. A lot of times they're reprints of limited edition club type of stuff. Now if I see them and they're in good shape, I grab them. I wish I had done it earlier because some of them are beautiful volumes. I have a few. I'm looking for Montaigne's 3-volume essays. I'm looking for the multi-set of 1001 Nights, the Richard Burton translation. Yeah, the Heritage Press is something to keep. If you're a book collector and you find them in good shape with the slipcases in solid condition, sometimes they can be the way to go. Next thing I have here is one of these little Everyman libraries. I have quite a few of these. They're solid. They're no nonsense. So this is the collected poems of, let me get the title page here, The Poems by John Keats, with an introduction by David Bromwich and notes by Nicholas Rowe. And this was their edition from, it's the second printing, looks like 1999. Print's good, good volume. Fun volume here, the Portable Coleridge. It's a hardback. Sometimes you'll see these in paper. And these are, this is a number 48. I love these portable, Viking portable volumes. So this is Viking Press, of course, New York, 1978. The paper's getting a little yellowed, so it wasn't the best paper in the world. Edited with an introduction by I.A. Richards. Poems, Biographica Literaria, or Literaria, excuse me, literary criticism, political essays, notebooks, and letters. It's a whole mix. I dip in and out of it. Have not read everything in it. Then here, Alfred Lord Tennyson, one of my favorites. I'm reading, it's the Harold Bloom here. This keeps happening in this shelf store. Possessed by Memory. And he's talking about Le Morte d'Arthur right now. So the Heritage Club has the sand glass. So again, this is a Heritage Press. It's a little paper that comes out and describes the book to you. This is really nice for the illustrations. All throughout. So this is Idylls of the King by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Illustrated by Robert Ball, the Heritage Press, Norwich, Connecticut. And 1939-1967. I just love this volume, and you should be able to find it fairly easily. And these kind of illustrations, just so much fun. And of course the poetry is just, for me anyway, it's something I really enjoy. I probably will give a reread now that I've been reading so much of Harold Bloom's take on it. Here's just a little volume. I've had this for so long I can't even remember. Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Sonnets for the Portuguese. You can find this in a million different copies. Very popular. This one is An Other Treasured Poems by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, selected by Nancy Holmes. It's a Hallmark edition. A nice little thing. These illustrations. Then, I know there's more of these. I only have the first two. These are the Yale University Press, The Letters of T.S. Eliot, Volume 1, 1898 to 1922. It's a revised edition. Big old beast of a thing. This is General Editor John Haffenden. First published by Faber and Faber, and in the United States in 2011 by Yale University Press. Quite an interesting collection of photographs. And then I have the second volume. As a completist, I'd like to get the rest of them. I'd like to get them in these covers. I like the Yale volumes. So this one is 1923 to 1925. Again, it looks like 2011. Faber did it in 2009. Let's see, not quite as many photographs in this one. Here's Ezra Pound. So, yeah. I love, well, quality versions. I'm big into letters. Like some authors I think are better at their letters than they are what they're famous for or other things. An example on that, and I like John Fowles, but you'll see later I have a volume of his letters that are just fantastic. So then here's one with Edward Gorey cover, which I love Edward Gorey. I've got a collection in the other room, we'll see. This is Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. A fun collection would be the Edward Gorey paperback covers. He did so many of them. So this is T.S. Eliot, Harcourt Brace and Company. This is San Diego, New York, and London. And this is Edward Gorey, copyrights 82 on the illustration. The original is 1939 by T.S. Eliot. And this has got to be quite a bit later. This thing's been reprinted so many times. Just great fun. So then here I have a gift from, I believe, my mother, Voices and Poetry of Ireland. The collection of Ireland's best-loved poetry readings by Maeve Binchy, Bono, Pierce Brosnan, Gabrielle Byrne, Colin Farrell, Bob Geldorf, and many, many more. And in the back, I believe, or the front, in the front. Yeah, it's from my mom. It's got a CD. And, yeah, what do we have here? There's sort of a sample page. Very nice gift. Then getting back to Harold Bloom, and this is a great book, at least in my opinion. And this is Yeats, a study of his poetry. Obviously a paperback reprint. So this is Oxford University Press. First published in 1970. First is an Oxford paperback, 72. And this is the fourth printing. So yeah, this one would be a good book. This would be pretty easy to find, I would think. Then another set where I'm not complete and I'd love to be. They're getting a little pricey when I look at them now. I just pick them up when I find them. And this is the Yeats, The Collected Works. Volume 1 here is the poems. Obviously the one I would visit the most often. I have several favorites, and it's just a fantastic collection. Then, so I go from volume 1 to volume 4. This is early essays. So the first one's edited by Richard J. Finneran, and that one came out in, yeah, I'd like to have the whole set of this. This is Scribner's, and it came out 1997. So that's the first one. This is the what did I say? The fourth one. So this is edited by Richard J. Finneran again, but this time with George Bornstein. And this came out, the Scribners again, and it came out in 2007. This thing, when it was new, was $50. It seems, I understand that it's there's a lot of work involved in this sort of thing, but 50 seems a little hefty to me. They're going for quite a bit when I look on used book market, though. This is volume 10 of the collected works of W.B. Yeats, and this one is edited by Colton Johnson, so somebody entirely new. Here's a list on the back. If you want to see it, you can just stop the video. So yeah, I have sort of a, well, this one's only 40, but it's a bit smaller. The Scribner again. So it's later articles and reviews, uncollected articles, reviews, and radio broadcasts written after 1900. And this one is 2000. So always fun. Another Yeats. I got a little run of Yeats here. I love the cover of this when I saw it. This is one of those Dorset Press books. Just love that cover for some reason. Irish Fairy and Folk Tales, Yeats. Profusely illustrated, and it is. Fair enough. 1986 for Dorset Press. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is from way earlier. Find some illustrations. Yeah, just for some reason that cover really grabbed me. Here's a beauty. Again, Yeats. This one's in Easton Press. Selected, edited, and introduced by William York Tyndall. Illustrations and drawings by Robin Jacques. There's Yeats. See if I can find some of the illustrations. They're just lovely. So nice volume. Then we'll go to another Irish poet. Bit of a theme here, and this is Seamus Heaney. We saw earlier his Beowulf translation, which is really good. Here's selected poems, 1966 to 96, Open to Ground, for our Strauss and Giroux. This came out in 1998. Just wonderful if you're a fan. Then we have here the spirit level. There he is. Let's see. And this came out in 1996. This is the third printing of 1996. Again, Seamus Heaney. This is the redress of poetry. So Heaney was a Nobel Prize winner, which every one of these covers is quick to remind you. This is Noonday Press for our Strauss and Giroux, 1995. So that he's just talking about poetry. So extending the alphabet, the redress of poetry, frontiers of writing, counting to 100, Dylan the Durable. So now we'll move away. We have the complete poems of Cavafy, the celebrated translation of the great modern Greek poet, translated by Rhea Dalvin, introduction by W.H. Auden. Great fun to dip in and out of, very much enjoy. Here's The Best of Rilke, translated by Walter Ernst, and forward by Cyrus Hamlin. Again, so this is going to be a translation, but in this case they put the original language right next to it. So if you are bilingual, that could be a help. Let me get these notes. Another Rilke. I had not read this until recently, and I have no idea how it got by me, but read it and very much enjoyed it. This is a little Norton paperback, $2.95 when it came out. And it's translated by M.D. Herder Norton, Letters to a Young Poet. And it's quite good. So if you're into poetry, you may want to track it down. I think everybody read it but me. Paul Celan, Poet, Survivor, Jew by John Feldsteiner. This is one of those Yale Nota Bene lives. So notable lives here. The first critical biography of Paul Celan, a German-speaking East European Jew who was Europe's most compelling post-war poet. I read this quite a long time. When did this come out? Because it's been a while. (2001). Not that long. Here next we have Norman Sims, editor of the Literary Journalist. The New Art of Personal Reportage, John McPhee, who I enjoy, Joan Didion, Tom Wolfe, Tracy Kidder. I'm not reading everybody's name. So, this is a little older. I don't know if I'll ever really read this again. This could probably go away. It's yellowing and it's not really in that great a shape. Get back to Harold Bloom. Where Shall Wisdom Be Found? That's probably my phone reminding me I need to get going here. Riverhead Books, New York, 2004. The most interesting book yet. Bloom takes us from the Bible through the 20th century, searching for the ways literature can inform our lives. So, Plato, Homer, Samuel Johnson and Goethe, Montaigne and Francis Bacon. And then here I think I'll stop with this book, and then we'll finish up this type of thing next time. This is Savage Reprisals, Bleak House, Madame Bovary, and Buddenbrooks by Peter Gay. I do not have as many of his volumes as I should. I'd love to have his, what was it called, the Enlightenment he did a big series on. I've got his books on Freud. Where am I at? No, the Bourgeois Experience. From Victoria to Freud. Yeah, he's done so much, and I've really enjoyed it. This was a good book. I read it quite a while ago. So, Bleak House, Madame Bovary, Buddenbrooks, W.W. Norton Company, 2002. Yeah, it's been a while. I remember it being a very... so here, The Angry Anarchist, Charles Dickens and Bleak House, with the famous image. So, good book. Probably found one there that can probably be culled. We'll go ahead and move on to some American language and American poetry next, and that'll finish up the top of this whole thing, and then we'll get into some novels and stuff like that coming up. So, hope you all have a good week, and thank you, books.